Hi guys, we are going to be in history on page 217. These last couple videos might be a little shorter because I'm going to split them into Ireland, Scotland, and Wales into their own videos. That doesn't mean you only have to watch one a day, but they're shorter videos that should actually help a little bit. Um, Assuming they're going to be shorter, who knows? I tend to talk for a long time, so we'll see. Um, we're on page 217 of the history book. We're going to talk about Ireland. Um, Patrick, you should probably know a decent amount about Ireland, hopefully, because your family is from there. So hopefully you already know a lot of this information. If not, it will clue you into some of your heritage. Ireland, called the Emerald Isle. The island of Ireland, which is separated from Great Britain by the Irish Sea. So you have Great Britain, remember, which is an island. Great Britain is an island. And then there's also Ireland, which is an island. Ireland is an island, but it also has two different nations on that island, one of which is called Ireland, and the other one's called Northern Ireland. So it's separated from Great Britain by the Irish Sea, and it has a cool marine west coast climate and receives a great deal of rain. Ireland is so green that it is often called the Emerald Isle. It is shaped somewhat like a bowl, with a central plain surrounded by low mountains along the coasts. Ireland's principal river, called the Shannon River, winds across most of the plain. It is the longest river in the British Isles. So the Shannon River is actually even longer than the main river in Great Britain, which is the Thames. The Irish people are descended from the Celts who were there. If you remember, at the beginning of the chapter we talked about the Celts, and the English people actually came in. The Anglo Saxons, remember, came into the British Isles. Remember, back on page 200, yeah, 200. The Anglo Saxons came in and defeated the Celts. Well, the Celts, the Irish people are closer to the Celts. They're descended from the Celts, and the English people, were descended from the Anglo Saxons. The Anglo Saxons came and defeated the Celts, and the Anglo Saxons were a Germanic tribe, so they were very closely related to Germany. So even though Ireland and Britain are really close together, the British are actually more closely related to Germany, German people, than they are the Irish, because they were a German tribe that came up and defeated the Irish people, the Celts, and then kind of took over the land. But anyway, Ireland as a whole is a very green place. I've never been there, but I've heard it is beautiful. Patrick, you can ask your dad about it. Maybe your dad can share some about it share something about it to us. Peat bogs. So some of the areas of the lowlands are very swampy. Plants decay in these areas, forming peat bogs. Peat bogs, it's not like peat, like somebody's name is like Peter, but peat is a type of thing in the soil, which cover 1/6 of Ireland. Peat, the partly decayed plant matter found in the bogs, is a thick, spongy mat of dead plants. So the plants die and they decay into like a thick, spongy mat, and it's actually really good for growing things. It's valuable as a fuel, and it's Ireland's most important natural resource. So their natural resource that's the most important is this peat that is made, that's really good to use as fuel. The Irish people are known for their friendliness, storytelling ability, and love of poetry. There are many, many great Irish poets. There are whole types of poetry and songs that come from Ireland. I remember I worked for a radio station a few years ago, and there were a group of radio stations there, one of which was had a whole afternoon where they would play Irish music all the time, and it's a very, very popular program. Interestingly, little fun fact, it's a random fact at this point in time, but Massachusetts is the most Irish state in the whole country. There's a lot of Irish people here. We're by far the most Irish, the highest amount of Irish people in the United States are here in Massachusetts. It's not necessarily the most Irish city. The most Irish city, there's a borough in New York somewhere that has the highest concentration of people of Irish descent, but we in Massachusetts have the largest number of Irish people. And interestingly, um, Irish people, there are more outside of Ireland that consider themselves um, Irish by descent than are in Ireland, because we're going to talk about part of the reasons for that. Anyways, I was saying about 1/3 of the people in Ireland are farmers, and many of them are poor. Ireland is not necessarily a very rich nation. Their most famous dish is Irish stew, which is made of potatoes, onions, and mutton. Mutton is a meat made of sheep. Potatoes are the most important food crop. Interestingly, um, to set up the next part, potatoes actually weren't even grown in Ireland until I think the late 1700s, early 1800s. They were introduced into the land. They weren't really that popular at first, but they began growing very well there, and they grew. They took to the land pretty well, and they were easy to grow, and they were an easy food for the poor people to eat. So they were very cheap food for them, and so it became more and more popular as the early 1800s went on. So even though potatoes weren't necessarily um, natural to Ireland for thousands of years, they became quickly associated with Ireland because they grew there. And Ireland had to export a lot of food. They were basically, at this point in time, like 1700s, 1800s, they were tenant farmers for the United Kingdom, which meant the United Kingdom kind of owned their land, kind of owned them, them and their land, and they would have to farm and give a lot of their stuff to England and the rest of the United Kingdom. They would have to give it to them, and they were ordered to give it to them. Um, and so um, what ends up happening is in 1850s, and they're exporting a lot of their potatoes. In the 1850s, down here, a disease spread among the potato plants and caused a great famine in Ireland. It was like a fungus, I think it was, that was affecting the potato plants, and so it caused this huge famine where it really, really negatively affected the potatoes. But they were expected. This is how horrible it was. They were expected to keep exporting potatoes. They actually still exported large amounts of potatoes, even though there's a famine in their land where people are starving to death, and they were still exporting large amounts of potatoes. They were exporting food. Exporting means sending out food to other nations who are buying it. So they're sending out food even though people in their own nation were dying. During the potato famine, thousands of Irish people starved to death. Another 1.5 million emigrated. So you hear the word emigrated with an E. The word emigrated means to leave. Immigrated with an I means to come in. So if somebody left Ireland and came to the United States, they would emigrate from Ireland and immigrate to the United States. So 1.5 million people emigrated to other countries, especially to Canada and the United States. As I mentioned, large population. The largest population of Irish people outside of Ireland is the United Kingdom. Obviously, it makes sense. They're just right there, meaning England, Scotland, and Wales. The largest amount of people in Ireland, largest amount of Irish people outside of Ireland, England, Scotland, Wales. That obviously makes sense. But other than that, it's the United States after that. Today, there are 4 times as many people of Irish descent in the United States as there are in Ireland, as they have played an important role in United States history. So picture that. There are 4 times as many Irish people living here in the United States, might even be more than that now, than are living in Ireland. That's pretty crazy when you think about it, because some American people are living in other countries right now, like Mrs. Hanley's sister right now is currently living in Italy. She's coming back pretty soon, but she's currently living in Italy. But, there's not nearly as many American citizens or American people living outside of America as there are in America. America has 350 million people living inside America, and there might be, 1 million, 2 million Americans living outside of America. So that's a very small amount. Ireland has, 9, 10 million people living in Ireland, and then there's 40 million Irish people living outside of Ireland. So it's a large amount of people living outside of Ireland, much larger. So you put it this way: you're more likely, if you are born in Ireland, you're much more likely to move out of Ireland and go to a different country than you are just to stay in Ireland. During the past century, many other people have moved away from Ireland to find better jobs. Remember, most of the people that live in Ireland are poor farmers. making Ireland one of the only countries in the world that has fewer people today than it had 100 years ago. So most countries have actually their population just grow and grow and grow and grow. Like we have 7.5 billion people in the world. When I was a kid, and I'm only 35 years old. When I was a kid, I remember people saying there were 6 billion people in the world. So we've grown a billion people more in my lifetime. That's a lot. Every country's gone bigger, except for Ireland. Ireland has actually decreased its population. Thousands of people still leave Ireland every year, but the government is encouraging new industries to come in to provide much needed work. So they are trying to figure out newer industries rather than farming in Ireland. The Republic of Ireland, so now we're separated. We had the whole island as a whole. Now we're going to separate the south, which is the Republic of Ireland, from the north, which, remember, the north is part of the United Kingdom. First, we're going to talk about the south, the Republic of Ireland. In 1949, the Republic of Ireland gained complete independence from Great Britain. Although Northern Ireland chose to remain a part of the United Kingdom, the Republic of Ireland still claims the land there. So the Republic of Ireland claims that they own the land in Northern Ireland, even though Northern Ireland says that they are loyal to England. And by the way, one of the big disputes there in the United Kingdom is between like Catholicism and Protestantism. That's a huge, huge debate, and it has a lot to do with the Catholic Church, and a lot of the Irish people are a bit more Catholic, and the United Kingdom people are a bit more Protestant, and has caused a lot of friction. 95%, as I was just saying, 95% of the people in the Republic of Ireland are Roman Catholics, which is one of the things that has led to, in Massachusetts, there's a very, very large Catholic population here. Part of that is stemmed from a lot of the Irish population. Dublin is the capital of the Republic of Ireland and the largest city, and Cork is the second largest. Another large city is Limerick. The country has 2 official languages, English and Gaelic. Gaelic is an Irish language that English, obviously we know English, but they have a different accent. There are several different Irish accents, several different accents in Ireland, all of which sound different than our speaking of English and England's speaking of English. But there's also Gaelic, which is a language of the ancient Celts, from whom they descended. Eire, I think that's how you pronounce it, or Eire, I can't pronounce it. E-I-R-E is the official Gaelic name for the Republic of Ireland. Maybe, Patrick, you can ask your dad how to say that, and you can tell us how it's pronounced. And Northern Ireland. Although Northern Ireland is not on the island of Great Britain, it is part of the United Kingdom. Sometimes called Ulster, Northern Ireland is known for its production of fine linen. Belfast, I actually went to college with a kid from Belfast. Belfast is the capital of Northern Ireland and the largest city. Another well-known city is Londonderry. Most of the people of Northern Ireland are Protestants of Scottish descent. There's another point of contention between the Republic of Ireland and Northern Ireland. Northern Ireland has a bit more Protestants. Republic of Ireland has a bit more Catholics. Amy Carmichael was a well-known missionary from Northern Ireland who worked with children and women in India. I believe we talked about her already. I believe we discussed Amy Carmichael. I remember she wanted her eyes to be blue. She had brown eyes, and she wanted her eyes to be blue when she was a kid, but God didn't grant her wish, obviously, and it allowed her to blend in more with the people of India, and she was thankful that God didn't grant her that wish. So I'm going to stop this video here, and I will make a second video. Maybe I'll do the second video of Scotland and Wales, but this is it for now. Thank you.